Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Welcome to Unindoctrinate and welcome to the Christian Whistleblower YouTube channel. We've got some podcast excellence for you tonight. Hillary Clinton, the Electoral College, and Bible prophecy. Ladies and gentlemen, somebody's saying, why are all the channels I like going live? Why do you think all of the networks have TV shows on at 9:30? Because that might be when people like to watch TV. I think it's the same thing. We're on because it is a good time to be on. And it's a good time to be talking about Hillary Clinton, the Electoral College, and Bible prophecy. You can see I've still got the MYSTECH behind me because we talked to Halo this afternoon. And if you go to jeffreydaugherty.com, the MYSTECH ordering page is up. It is ready to rock and roll. So if you want to go get some of this right here, go do it. Get a full 20% off. It is really good stuff, and it will literally change your life. Speaking of changing your life, oh boy. I'm telling you something. I was watching, what was I watching today? Looking through Drudge. I look through Drudge. I check CNN headlines, but I mainly get mine, I pick and choose where I get news and where I read it from. And I saw Hillary Clinton talking about, I forget what the headline was that made me look at it, but I went and I watched it. Hillary was in Portland, and I guess her and her child, what's her name, Chelsea, wrote a book about tough women or something like that. But anyway, they wrote a book. They're on a book tour. And this one interviewer asked Hillary what she thinks of the current crop of Democratic candidates. And then it gets around to, well, will Hillary herself run? And she didn't say yes, and she didn't say no. But she said some things that were very telling. And the very last thing that she said, I think, was the most telling. And it's something that Democrats understand, but Republicans don't understand. It's something that liberals understand, but that conservatives do not understand. And the last thing Hillary said was, we got to have the best person run, and gave all of the qualifications. And of course, it was her, according to her own standards, that she is the best one to run. And then she said, the most important thing is that we win. And then she said, when we win, we get rid of the Electoral College. We get rid of the Electoral College. So the Electoral College has become the big thing. And not all conservatives think for themselves, Tracy, is what I'm saying. And I think you might agree with me on this, because most conservatives might think, oh, well, yeah, the Electoral College is kind of dated, and maybe we should go to the popular vote. And, maybe the founding fathers weren't quite as smart as we are today. And maybe we don't need the Electoral College anymore. That's a huge mistake, ladies and gentlemen. Those guys that founded this nation knew exactly what they were doing, and they did it for a real reason. And they did it for really the same reasons that it's still a good idea today to have an Electoral College. You do not want to give away the Electoral College. Of course, Tracy doesn't let me down on this. She knows what she's talking about. You don't want the Electoral College to end. They had huge foresight, and it would be a huge mistake, I'm telling you, if you let the Electoral College go by. And this became very, very important to me when I moved from Florida to Kansas. It was always important to me, but it became much more real to me when I'm pretty sure we're not collectively getting smarter, says Bobby Ellison. Not collectively, but I think selectively we're getting smarter. Selectively we're getting smarter. when I lived in Florida, I didn't have to worry about making sure that the candidates cared about me because it was a huge state and they all came because there was lots of money and lots of votes there. And Florida's voice would always be heard, even if there wasn't an electoral college. But now I live in Kansas. And the fact of the matter is that unless there was an electoral college, Kansas and 33 other states that Tracy was sitting there talking about, Kansas and 33 other states would never even see a political candidate. They would never see a political candidate for president. They would never see a radio. They'd never see a TV commercial. They'd never hear a radio ad, which might be an improvement. They'd never get a phone call from a pollster because let's face it, folks, if you're running for president and you're trying to win the popular vote, nobody gives a damn about Kansas, period. And 33 other states that we could go down the line and talk about it. And I think it's probably more than 33. If there was no, you can, if there was no electoral college, ladies and gentlemen, a person could win New York, California, Florida, Michigan, New York, California, Florida, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and maybe one or two more. And they could become president of the United States just by popular vote. Why do you think the founding fathers set up the Electoral College? Why do you think they set up the Electoral College? Well, they set up the Electoral College because people in places like South Carolina and places like Alabama, places like Tennessee, they were worried that the big populous colonies like Virginia, like Massachusetts, like New York would be in charge of everything. And you know what? They were right. They were 100% right. Because if you didn't have the California, Texas, New York, and Illinois to pretty much cleanse it, 4 states. As it was, if Clinton had won, she could have flown across country and never fly over a state that she won. Could you imagine that? Can you imagine that? The Electoral College is put into place because this is, I disagree with you, last year and this year, Charlie. He says presidents aren't elected, they're selected. That's the way it used to be, but that changed in 2016, and I think it's going to be different in 2020. Beyond that, who knows? But the reason why the Electoral College is put in place is because this is the United States of America. This is not the United States of America. This is the United States of America. We started with 13 colonies, which became states. And those colonies become states, wanted to make sure that they retained some sovereignty. They really wanted to retain complete sovereignty. It's supposed to be a union of states, ladies and gentlemen, a union of sovereign states. And that's why the Electoral College is in place, to make sure that we always have sovereign states. I had a debate with Zachary Hubbard on this. You should watch it on my channel. It was good. And I think, he came for, I came against, and I think the results were pretty clear. The Electoral College makes sure that the expressed will of the United States of America is expressed. The Electoral College makes sure that the folks of Kansas and Nebraska and Iowa and Oklahoma and I could name more, what's all is out here, Montana, Idaho, the Dakotas, All of these states, and we could go on and on. That's the reason why the Electoral College is in place, ladies and gentlemen, so that we have presidential elections and presidents that are reflective of the entire United States. Because people in New York don't always think the same as people in North Dakota. And people in Wyoming don't always think the same as people in Washington, D.C. And that's okay. This is not a place where we all have to believe the same way. But we do want a country that reflects the will of the United States of America. And if you don't like the Electoral College, then you don't like the United States of America. You don't like a representative Republican society. You don't like that. There's a reason why it's not a popular vote. If the population was evenly distributed, you could have a democracy. Socrates or Aristotle said democracy only works with the amount of people that you can see from the top of a hill. Everybody has to be evenly distributed, and it has to be a relatively small group of people. Now, a representative democracy, which is basically what we are, that can work. We elect people that represent our interests. So the interests of Kansas and the interests of New York are both taken into consideration. I'll guarantee you this, ladies and gentlemen, these Democrats that want to get rid of the Electoral College, they won't ever want to get rid of the House of Representatives. They're not going to go back to have, okay, every state has 2 senators. Let's let every state have just 2 representatives and we'll be done with it. The next time somebody tells you that the Electoral College should be done away with, then say, oh, okay, then we have to get rid of the House of Representatives too, right? Because those of you that are Christians and those of you that are visiting from other channels probably don't know that the House of Representatives, your appointed representatives based upon your population of your state. Kansas has a lot fewer representatives in the House of Representatives than California does. Kansas has a lot fewer representatives in the House of Representatives than New York does and Florida does. You know what I'm talking about? So if you want to get rid of the Electoral College because you just want it to be the popular vote, well, then you got to get rid of the House of Representatives as well and just make 2 senators and 2 congressmen, congresspersons. Why do you think they made the Senate 2 senators from every state and the House of Representatives population apportioned? Because they want to reflect the will of the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, Tracy makes a great point. Why do you think illegal immigrants are funneled into certain states? Can we just be honest, ladies and gentlemen? Can we just be honest for a minute? And I know that the people at STEMlight are honest, ladies and gentlemen, very honest. And I know that if you're having trouble with injuries, illnesses, debilitating diseases, if you're having a problem with your hair falling out, if you're feeling the ravages of age, go to jeffreydaugherty.com. Click on the STEMlight logo. Talk to the folks down at STEMlight. If you get stem cell treatment, they will give you 20% off the price for your stem cell treatment. It's very, very powerful. It's not cheap. And until you can get to the place, maybe you're at the place where you can get the stem cell treatment. Until you get there, click on the Create Yourself Nutrition logo, and you can get products there that are formulated to multiply and activate your own adult stem cells. Your own stem cells have the ability to repair, and you can improve your quality of life by doing it that way until you're able to take advantage of the STEMlight product. So use the word heal if you go to STEMlight. Just click on the Create Yourself Nutrition logo. And if you're a doctor and you want to work with STEM Light, the company that's working with the National Football League Alumni Association, go to southernstem.com and also use the word heal. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we have here is the Democrats who realize that the only way they can win elections is to import illegal immigrants from other countries, pouring through the southern border, and then funnel them to the states that they need in order to pick up the most electoral votes possible. And with last time in a fair and free election, they found out, whoa, this isn't a workable solution. Why do you think they're so upset about President Trump building a wall? Do you really think it's because they love the Mexican people? Do you really think it's because they love the Central American people? Do you really believe it's because they love the South American people? If Nancy Pelosi does love Mexicans, she likes them with a little Worcestershire and A1, because she might be a reptilian that eats people. I'm just saying, she might be. Have you seen her lately? If Chucky Schumer likes the Hondurans, he likes them with barbecue sauce, okay? You know what I'm saying? They don't like people from anywhere. They don't care about anybody. All they care is bringing in a warm body that can cast a vote for them. That's why they're so against stopping unrestricted immigration through our southern border. Why do you think they want people pouring in here? Because illegal immigrants are they're over 90% likely to register and vote Democrat. That's just the tip of the iceberg, as Tracy's pointing out in the chat room. But things happen for a reason, and things are done for a reason. And you have to begin to look and understand. And you have to make sure that you don't say things that aren't true, like needing a passport to fly. It's not true, Mr. B. You can have a real ID and fly. And to have a real ID, all you have to do is show two forms of identification, your birth certificate, and two forms of proof that you live in the United States in a permanent residence. Why? That's even better than a wall, cheaper than a wall. And as long as you got to show that thing to vote, it works really, really good. As long as you got to show that thing to get benefits, it works really, really good. Really, really good. So Real ID is all you need to get on an airplane, Mr. B. So you got it. You're good. And I know a lot of you are upset about the Real ID. I was excited to have a Real ID. When they first told me I had to come back with documentation, I was a little upset. But that Real ID guarantees that the people that are getting on a plane have shown birth certificates, and hopefully not like Barack Obama's. It guarantees that they do have places that they live in the United States that can be verified. It shows me they didn't get off a plane from Yemen yesterday, and I'm happy about that. And also people that are going to get benefits through the country, I think they should have to show where they're from and who they are. I think you should have to show it before you vote. Where in the world can you vote without even showing that you're proving you're a resident of this country? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard of. But remember, folks, Hillary tipped their hand. It's not just the presidency. Do I want a presidency controlled by the Democrats and a House of Representatives controlled by the Democrats and a Senate controlled by the Democrats? No, I don't. But I want even less a liberal Democratic president appointing Supreme Court justices that are there as long as they're alive. I want even less a Democratic president being able to, and I just lost my train of thought, being able to, have the power of a Congress and pass whatever they want. That makes me even more afraid, because the Democrats are also aligned with the deep state. And it looks like we got a president now that's not, which is a really good thing. So remember, folks, it's not just about the presidency. Oh, I don't want a Democrat, because if a Democrat gets elected in 2020, they will do whatever they can to remove the Electoral College. And they might be able to remove the Electoral College with an executive order. I don't know. Can the president end the Electoral College with an executive order? I don't know. Let's see what Google says. Can the president do away with Electoral College via executive order? Abolishing the Electoral College would be more complicated. There's some discussion about it. It doesn't look like it's that easy, and thank goodness it's not meant to be easy, but they're going to try it. And if they have the White House and the Senate and the House of Representatives, it'd be very, very, very terrible. I do have my veteran status on the Real ID, Mr. B. Thanks for that. It's good advice. We don't want that to happen. We don't want anybody changing the U.S. Constitution. Although that's the thing. That's the Pandora's box you open up. Would I like to see a constitutional convention to enforce term limits? Yeah, I kind of would. But when you open up that box, that can of worms, you never know what you're going to open up. I would like to see that. I don't know if I'd like to see that. I'm not sure, because it's a little bit scary. Because things probably would work just the way they are now if we actually followed the Constitution that we have. But you can see what happens when a president tries to do it. He's starting to get in trouble. Yes, the Dems are against the Constitution. Pretty. Ask yourself this question, Jason. Do the Democrats want to get rid of the Second Amendment? Yes or no? Is the Second Amendment part of the U.S. Constitution? Yes or no? There you go. I agree with you, Tracy. Income tax, that's another one. But it's just a risk to open up that can of worms. So, but you know what? Risk is our business. We are in the risk business. Let's do it. I say let's go for it. But anyway, it's just one of those things that we can debate about and talk about. But just remember, Tracy Dyer says the Tulsi Gabbard Clinton dust up is just to bring Clinton back into the race. I just read on Drudge Report that the Democrats are feeling tremendous anxiety because they don't have any good candidates. So maybe they're going to try to bring that old battle axe back for one more run. And in the words of, let me finish this. In the words of Clubber Lang, when asked if he would accept another challenge from Rocky Balboa, he said, "I reject the challenge because Balboa is no challenge, but I'll be more than happy to beat up on him again." I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is Unindoctrinate. We'll be right back. How was the Clubber Lang impersonation? Not too bad. That's Mr. T, by the way, if you're not old enough to remember that Rocky movie. I thought it was pretty good. But anyway, oh no. I don't have my notes for the second half of the program. Cynthia, I think the book is out there, and it's the one that says ideas, and it's got a date like back in September and no other date on the other end of it. If you could bring that in to me, that would be really, really good. How was the new Rambo, Mr. B? Did he beat John Wick's record for killing fools in one movie? John Wick's 2, that had to be killing the most people that's ever been killed in any movie. I'm telling you, it was something else. Let's see if this is one of them. This is it. Thank you so much. Was I not clear? Did I not say it says ideas and then it has a date and no date on the other one? Do you see that right there, ladies and gentlemen? It says ideas and it has a date and then no date. But anyway, thank you very much. I'm very appreciative of getting that assistance. And something tells me that I probably won't get it again if I keep it up. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk a little bit about, oh, this is a really good one. Yeah, I can't wait to start bringing this out. I can't wait to start bringing this out. I want to talk a little bit, ladies and gentlemen, about, oops, let's bring the radio people back in. What do you say? What do you say? Stop, reset, start, record. And we're back. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is Unindoctrinate. Wherever you are, whoever you are, I'm glad you're here. And I'm just glad that you're you. Because without you, the world wouldn't be what it is. You're very, very unique, just like everybody else. Jeffrey Daugherty, also known as a Christian Whistleblower over on YouTube. Go over there, subscribe, check me out. We would like to see you over there, ladies and gentlemen. I have some great stuff coming up over the next few weeks, and I cannot wait to bring it out to you. And tonight I want to start talking about one of them. I want to talk about Bible prophecy, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know that I kind of clickbaited, slight clickbait, when I said Hillary Clinton, Electoral College, and Bible prophecy, because many people might have thought they were going to hear about Hillary Clinton and the Electoral College in Bible prophecy. But no, that's not what you hear about. We heard about Hillary Clinton. We heard about the Electoral College. And now we're going to hear about Bible prophecy. Is that clickbait? Yes or no? Let me know what you think. I say no. I say it's creative. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen. So let's talk about Bible prophecy. And specifically, I'm talking about Matthew 24 and the book of Revelation. And of course, you know, it's my pet peeve that there is no book of Revelations. There's no S on the end. Check it out. Terry says, you bastard. It's the book of Revelation, ladies and gentlemen. The book of Revelation. And have you ever noticed that, especially on YouTube, everybody's an expert in Bible prophecy? Everybody's an expert in Bible prophecy, except nobody is an expert at Bible prophecy, especially those that say they are. And the people that are on YouTube right now, the people that are at conferences right now, and I was doing a Google search to try to see if they had Bible prophecy conferences or eschatology conferences, like they got the UFO one that Halo and I are going to be at. What is this next month? November 2, 3, 4, I think it is. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But they don't really have prophecy conferences in like hotels and meeting rooms and stuff like that. Churches have them, but I would love to find some Bible prophecy conferences that is just like in a like a UFO conference in a hotel at a convention center. Oh, I would so have a table there, and we would so have some great discussion. So if you do know or see or hear of any such of a thing as a Bible prophecy, end times type of thing like that, let me know. And, you know, Pork Chop says they don't exist, and that's been my understanding. But everybody that's on and everybody that is saying they're a Bible prophecy expert isn't. They're just not. Everybody says they're a Bible prophecy expert, but nobody really is. And I'm reminded of Matthew 15:14. And Matthew 15:14 says, the blind lead the blind into a ditch. And that's exactly what's happening with Bible prophecy. The blind are leading the blind into a ditch. And Matthew 15:14 actually says, disregard them. Leave them alone. Don't follow these people that want to. That is weird. I will hide this user on my channel. Why follow these people that talk about Bible prophecy that says they're experts and they're not? And let me tell you about Bible. If you want to judge who is a Bible expert, if you want to judge who is a Bible prophecy expert, ask them one question. Ask your prophecy expert. Thank you, Mr. B. He wants to pay for an S on Revelation. Ask your prophecy expert who Francisco Ribera is. Ask your prophecy expert who Francisco Ribera is. You'll most likely get a blank stare. They'll wonder if he's cutting their grass. You'll get a blank stare because they don't know who Francisco Ribera is. They will never know who Francisco Ribera is. Well, now they will, because we're telling you who Francisco Ribera is, ladies and gentlemen. Most likely you get a blank stare. You might get some fear because they're like, uh-oh, this person knows. And you might get some anger because they know that you know and you ask them. How strange is it that no one knows who Francisco Ribera is when Francisco Ribera is the father of modern eschatology? Every single doctrine that you know of today as eschatology, and let's define that, that's a Christian word that means the study of the end times. That's a Christian word that means the study of the last days. And do you know that every single doctrine that is believed and preached and taught by these prophecy experts, quote unquote, was invented by Francisco Ribera? And by the way, that guy that I was trying to remember, the big whiteboard, was Brother Breaker, Robert Breaker. And I sent Robert Breaker an email, and I asked Robert Breaker to debate me on futurism versus historicism. What kind of a response do you think I got from Brother Robert Breaker, Internet Church, champion of prophecy, fearless man of God? What kind of a response do you think I got from Brother Robert Breaker? No response. No response. Okay, we'll do, Rex. No response. Zero response. Don't you find that a little crazy? Don't you find that? I find that sorely disappointing. Sorely disappointing. But anyway, Francisco Ribera is the father of modern eschatology. Literally, because he was a father. He was a Jesuit priest. And lawyers, politicians, and theologians, and they have their own private language because they're so much smarter than the rest of us. That's why they invent these words called eschatology. And you're too timid to ask them what it means and hold their feet to the fire. And all modern end time teaching, I'm reading from my own notes here, folks. I've been really, really busy. All modern end time teaching goes back to Father Francisco Ribera. He's literally the father of Bible eschatology because he was a Catholic, a Jesuit. Think of what that means. I'm telling you, and I'm going to prove it to you because you know how I do. You know how I roll. Every eschatology word or idea that you've heard of was invented by Francisco Ribera. Let's play a game. If you're in the chat room right now and you know anything about Bible prophecy, give me a eschatology doctrine. Give me a doctrine. And I'll tell you yes or no if it was invented by Francisco Ribera or not. And they were all, I know the MYSTECH sign's up behind me. That's to remind you that the website for ordering MYSTECH is up and ready to go. Rapture, yes. Francisco Ribera. Absolutely. He invented all of them. This isn't moving quite as fast as I thought it might be. Yet Rapture, yes, he did invent it. He's the one that brought it into the modern parlance. Somebody might say, rebuild third temple, yes. Somebody could say Antichrist, yes. Somebody could say tribulation, yes. Somebody could say chopping off heads, yes. Mark of the beast, yes. Third beast, the beast, yes. Tribulation, yes. All of these things were invented by Francisco Ribera. Red heifer, yes. Mr. B, I know it's hard to believe, but yeah, it's new. He wrote the book in like it was 1750, was it? No, 1540 he wrote the book. 1540 he wrote the book. A Catholic priest, a Jesuit Catholic priest in 1590 wrote this book, Sacred Writings of St. John, an evangelistic commentary on Revelation. Every modern end-time doctrine comes from this book. Seals, yes. 1590. Do you realize if it was 1600, it would be the 17th century? 10 years from the 17th century. This is the 21st century, right? Yeah, 21st century. That was 400 years ago. 400 years ago. So let me get this straight. It's 21 minus 4 is 20, 19, 18, 17. So for like 1700 years, everybody believed one thing. Whore Babylon, yes. Everybody believed one thing, and then for 400 years, now we've believed another thing. And the thing that we started to believe now was written by a Jesuit priest. Jeff, are you being real with us? I'm being so real with you, ladies and gentlemen. So real with you. 17th century. All had believed what's called historicism up until then. 17 centuries. My math is weird. 17 centuries, 18, 19, 20, about 3 centuries, 300 years or so. So for 17 centuries, everybody believes one thing. And now for 3 centuries, we've been believing something else. And the something else was created by a Jesuit. And now all the Protestants believe it. Doesn't make sense, does it? It doesn't make sense. And even I can't figure it out when I'm sitting in a fluffy environment. I'm sitting here in a more nurturing environment. I'm sitting here in a high frequency environment. And even I can't figure this out, ladies and gentlemen. But if you're having trouble concentrating, sleeping, if you're not as good in the sack as you used to be, if things just don't work like they used to and you just don't have that edge, get you some fluffy, get you some MYSTECH, get you some fluffy. Go into jeffreydaugherty.com, click on the fluffy logo, FLFE. They'll give you a full 15 days on your cell phone, a full 15 days on your home, 30 days of free trial. You don't even have to list a credit card, ladies and gentlemen. And you can try out the fluffy environment for yourself. And if you love it, great, and you will. And like Rex Bear would tell you, it's less than a couple of cups of mediocre coffee. It's $7 a month if you decide to stay. So go to Fluffy, Focused Life Force Energy. So why did Ribera write? Why did Francisco Ribera write? The guy that is the father of modern eschatology. Why did he write? He wrote as part of a little thing called the Counter Reformation. I'm serious. He wrote as part of a little thing called the Counter Reformation. And I'm going to do a show. Okay, Rex, I'm there. I'm going to do a show in the coming weeks and months where I think I can prove to you that the Protestant Reformation was the first great modern false flag. I think I can prove to you that the Protestant Reformation was started by the Jesuits as a preemptive strike to get themselves where they are right here and right now. But that is not what we're talking about here today, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're talking about Francisco Ribera, Jesuit Catholic priest, wrote the book that all modern eschatology is based upon. And did I mention he was a Jesuit? Did I mention he was a Catholic? And the reason why Ribera wrote his book is because the Reformation had kicked off. Do you remember what the Reformation was? Everybody thinks of not John Luther. Everybody thinks of Martin Luther walking up and nailing his theses to the door of the Wittenberg Chapel. Now, folks, I know that sounds dramatic. I've been to Wittenberg Chapel. I've stood at the very same place. I rubbed my butt where Luther drove his nails. I might want to rethink that analogy. But anyway, I was there looking at the door, and I didn't really put my butt on it. And the thing is, everybody put their advertisements up there on the door of the chapel. So if you lost a pig, if you needed a winch, it's like taping a note on the door. So he did bang his theses up there on the door. That was great, but it wasn't quite as dramatic as you thought it was. But anyway, he put those theses up there, 95 theses. And part of it was that the Pope of Rome is the Antichrist, and that the Roman Catholic religion was the embodiment of Antichrist. That was just as much a part of the Protestant Reformation as justification by faith and the opposition to indulgences. That's where you could pay to get people out of hell. Part of it was the Pope is the Antichrist. The Roman Catholic Church is the great whore of Babylon. And if you were Catholic, you had a problem with that. And the real problem was that not so much just that the Protestants were saying that the Pope was the Antichrist. They'd been saying that for 1,600 years. The problem wasn't so much that the Protestants were saying that the Roman Catholic Church was the whore of Babylon. They've been saying that for 1,600 years. The problem was that all of a sudden, remember, folks, a little thing called the printing press was also invented about this same time. Ooh, the printing press. It's one thing to have a bunch of crazy Protestants running around. I mean, how many people can a crazy Protestant preach to? Really? But all of a sudden, you got a printing press, and these crazy Protestants can print books. Well, that's not so much a problem because nobody can read anyway, but Rutrow, guess what was exploding around this time? Literacy. It was a perfect storm for the Catholic Church. Dude saying that the Pope is the Antichrist. Dude saying that the Catholic Church is the whore of Babylon. Dudes being able to print it in books, and dudes being able to read it. Now, this is getting out of hand. What are we going to do? Well, what they decided to do was come up with a little thing called the Counter-Reformation. And you don't have to be really smart to figure out what a Counter-Reformation is. That just goes against the Reformation that they started. Yeah, Chris Stoll. Oh, shit. They can read. Oh, shit. They got books. Now things were getting completely out of hand, ladies and gentlemen. But I think the Jesuits were even smarter than we think they are. I think the Jesuits were even smarter than I thought they were. Because I think, and I can prove, and I think I can prove, and I wouldn't say I think I could prove unless I know I could prove. I will prove to you in the days to come that the Catholic Church, the Jesuits started the Reformation just so they could start the Counter-Reformation. And the Counter-Reformation is the one that said, no, the Pope's not the Antichrist. The Antichrist comes in the future. The Counter-Reformation is the one that said, no. The Catholic Church isn't the whore of Babylon. That comes in the future. No. We're not, the Pope isn't the temple. That comes in the future. Tribulation, marks of the beast, all of that stuff. That's all in the future. Because you got to remember, it was all written by 100 AD. They had Revelation by 100 AD. It was all written. And from 100 AD, when Revelation was written, until 1590, that's when he wrote the book. Let's say it took 10 years. From 100 AD until 1600 AD, everybody believed that the Bible taught that Revelation, Matthew 24 were history and had already been fulfilled. And here comes a Roman Catholic Jesuit priest who writes a book, and now, about less than 500 years later, right? 17, 18, 19, 20, about 500 years later, the children of the reformers are preaching the Jesuits' doctrine. It blows your mind. 1,600 years, they're preaching the same thing. Boom, 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 boom. They start a war. Blood was shed. Lives were lost. And in less than 500 years, you got the sons and daughters of the Protestant Reformation still saying they're proud Protestants, still fight you if you say they're like the Catholics. I call them Roman Protestants because they are, and people hate me for it. But less than 500 years later, now the sons and daughters of the Protestant Reformers are preaching the doctrine of the Jesuits and attacking people like moi who dare to call them out and say they're wrong. What a crazy world we live in. What a crazy world we live in. And I have a question for you, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I have two questions for you. For those of you that watch channels on YouTube that teach Bible prophecy, for those of you that run channels on YouTube that teach Bible prophecy, for those of you that go to conferences that teach Bible study, for those of you that buy books about Bible prophecy, I didn't mean Bible study, I meant Bible prophecy. Those of you that have a guy that you like to watch or a gal that you like to watch that teaches Bible prophecy, why haven't you asked them, hey, brother thus and so, hey, sister Duflotty, do you know who Francisco Ribera is? And why haven't you asked them, do you know that all of the eschatology you teach is Jesuit doctrine. And if you don't know, why don't you know? And if you do know, then why are you still preaching it to me? Why don't you ask these questions? And Murphys 55, let me help you out a second, brother or sister, whichever you may be. They said, why, until the Roman Catholics get rid of pedos, they will remain evil? Let me give you a little clue, Murphys 55. The Roman Catholics will always remain evil. The Roman Protestants will always remain evil. Abrahamic religions will always remain evil because they will never get rid of pedophilia. Here's the problem. Pedophilia in the churches isn't because of a few bad priests. Pedophilia in the churches isn't because of a few bad pastors. Pedophilia is part and parcel of the doctrine of Roman Catholicism and Roman Protestantism. They have been sacrificing and abusing children from day one. Tracy says it's in all religions. I don't know. I only belong to this one. They've been sacrificing. I've shown you where Cain and Abel stories about the sacrifice of a human child. I've shown it to you. It's right there. I've shown you where all of Christianity, Roman Catholicism, Roman Protestantism goes back to child sacrifice, child abuse. I showed you where. I showed you where. The thing that you hold the most dear, the birth of Jesus. The birth of Jesus took place, if it did, when an extraterrestrial God immobilized a 10 or 11-year-old girl and used his superior power and strength to deposit something into her womb. In short, ladies and gentlemen, Christianity itself started with an extraterrestrial rape. Somebody said it was date rape. I don't think it was date rape because she didn't even get a kiss first, ladies and gentlemen. She was overtaken as an attack. I'm reading from Greek. She was overtaken as an attack. She was immobilized. The overpowering force of the Lord Yahweh came upon her, and she was found with something, not baby, not child, in her womb. If you're waiting for the Roman Catholics or the Roman Protestants to get rid of pedophilia, you're in for a long wait, because that doesn't go away until they do, because it's not an aberration. It's a sacrament. It's part of the religion. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is Unindoctrinate. And that's what we're in the business of. History's written by the winners. So why don't we get busy? We're the last generation of real humans. If we get busy, we can win today and write a better tomorrow. We'll see you again tomorrow night on Unindoctrinate. Oh, I remembered and I got it in just in time, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't say she was 12 years old. Show me, Susie Q, where she was 12 years old. I don't think she was. And I know I misread your quote, Susie. I don't think she was. She was as young as 9. The word in Greek and the usage of that word in Greek, she was, if I had to guess, I'd say she was 10, 9 or 10, if I had to guess, 9 or 10. When did Rex say an hour ago? Was that like 10 minutes ago? Was it like 10 minutes ago? So that would have been about, Jesus, I got a brand new phone. I can't even tell what time it is on this thing. Where's the clock? Oh, there it is. Got to make that bigger somehow. Oh, crap. I got to do my, boy, it's going to be tough. I can do it. I can do it. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, 9, 10 years old. At the very oldest, she was 12. the very oldest, she was 12. And not to be outdone, Muhammad flew in a horse with a 9-year-old. You laugh to keep from crying, ladies and gentlemen. You laugh to keep from crying. That's part one of, I don't even know what to call this yet. Let's just call it Matthew 24 and Revelation. And here's another question you can ask. Matthew 24 and Revelation are the two main New Testament prophetic messages. Have you ever seen, when was the last time you ever saw someone harmonize Matthew 24 in the book of Revelation? Let me save you time. You've never seen it because it hasn't been done before. But I did it, and we're going to show it to you. Ladies and gentlemen, it just gets curiouser and curiouser. And we just keep going. We just keep going and growing. I'd love to stay here. I'd love to chat with you. But now I got to track. Well, I've tracked those. I love it when Jericho said that. Now I say it every time I can. I tracked those 2 tracks, but now I got to chop them all up and upload them to the server. So in other words, I got to go. And you know what? Tomorrow we get in a car. Actually, we get in a brand new truck. Cynthia, Mama got a brand new truck. We're going to get in that. We're going to go to Minnesota Thursday night. Little comedy, little live podcast. Friday night, a little paranormal tour sold out at the Renaissance Fairgrounds. And then I think we're going to bug out of there on Saturday, Rocky. I think I'm going to leave a day early and get back home, because then got to come home, wash my underwear, get in my car. You don't think she'll let me take the truck to Laughlin? Get in my car and drive to Laughlin for the Starworks UFO extravaganza. I've got a Christian Whistleblower booth. I'm breaking out a new book, Alien Agenda in the New Testament. We've got televised interviews with Laura Eisenhower and Gosha of Cosmic Agency. It's going to be fun times. Going to be fun times. And then we're driving back, washing my underwear again, and then going to Nashville for a great show with Trace Adkins and Sammy Hagar and James Burton and Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees. It's going to be fun times, ladies and gentlemen. Going to be fun times. So let me get to work so I can get over and hang out with Rex for a little while. You know, history really is written by the winners, and I really do believe that that's okay, because if we get busy, we're the last generation of real humans. We can win today. We can write a better tomorrow. It's not, things aren't bad. They're not getting worse. Things are good, and they're getting better. We got 30 minutes. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, saluting you for being here, seeking after truth. So let's go ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get busy changing the world.